You know, at Rastah, we've always wanted to do something that not a lot of people are doing, and in it requires a certain sense of bravery, because as an artist, you always have to deconstruct certain layers that are present in front of you, and that requires a lot of patience, innovation, and practice. And to be honest, I'm incredibly pleased with the team that we have over here, because each and every one of us has this, deep desire to just test whatever our boundaries are to the best of our abilities. Be it Aslam Saab or be it, the weavers that we have in Kasur. We want to do something that really tests who we are as creatives. And oftentimes that's a very scary journey, because you have to access certain parts of your creative process that might not make sense to the outside world. And the deconstruction for that is something that is scary, because when you're creating something, you essentially have to break down certain barriers. And with each collection that you guys have come to know or have come to see, there's always some emotive element. There's always some sort of a story that we're trying to tell. Be it in an abstract way, there is something present after you have scratched the surface. And I think that's the most important thing, that we're not out here trying to sell something to you guys. Whether someone buys what we create is entirely out of our hands. Our job as creatives is to be as honest and as authentic as possible with our audience. And this is something that I tell my team as well. If you can imagine it, then you can achieve it. And once you have that idea proliferate the minds of your team members, they're able to do amazing things. For me, there was never really any formal education that I received in regard to fashion and design. In a weird way, it's worked out incredibly well, because it's allowed me to create and conceptualize outside the box without having any rules in place. And that's always an interesting experience, because you're always constructing new ideas and new dynamics and new rules for yourself. A very good example of this is Volume 3, which has the use of motifs and elements that you necessarily would not see being used in the way that they have been used. And that's something that we're going to do more and more of in the future. The stuff that we've done over the past 2 years is something that not a lot of artisanal brands are doing in Pakistan, just because it's very risky. You don't know whether this stuff is going to sell or not. There hasn't been a precedent for this. The precedent is being set right now. We don't follow trends, we set the trends. The process of creating a collection is very extensive. Making limited edition pieces, working with artisans is an incredibly lengthy and immersive process. Some fabrics we've been conceptualizing for over 6 months. And the best part is that the process is very collaborative, and it's something that not a lot of people get to see. That process is why we do what we do. We don't share much of that with our audience, but it's what makes us tick. And I think there's something special when you have an audience that sees the end product, but the months that go into making and conceptualizing the collection is something that stays with the team.